I pulled a muscle in my neck and wasn't going to be able to wrestle for another week or so, I was devastated. Little did I know the lump in my neck was not what the doctor had told me it was. I was going to be sitting out of wrestling practice for much longer than just a week. The lump that developed in my neck became quite painful. It just kept getting bigger and harder to deal with. One night, I lay on my kitchen floor crying because of the pain. My parents realized that this lump was much more serious than just a pulled muscle. After 2 weeks of tests and waiting, my doctor suggested a needle biopsy. And the day after Thanksgiving, 2 days after the needle biopsy, my doctor called my parents and told them to come into his office. He broke the news. I have some bad news. You have stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. The whole world came to a complete halt. I looked up at my parents and saw the fear in their eyes. They immediately broke down. Even my father, the rock of our family, couldn't hold back the tears. I shed a few myself, but wiped them away, knowing I had to be strong, not for my family, but for myself. I didn't want to waste time. My parents and I went home, I told my brother, and we headed off to the hospital in the city. The doctors gave me an overview of what treatment I needed, how long it would take, and what should I expect. The plan was surgery to double-check that it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, then 3 to 5 rounds of chemotherapy, and 3 to 5 rounds of radiation. Chemo was said to be the hardest part of this journey. The IVs put in my arm, the blood samples taken every day were painful. But when I finally felt the effects of chemo and many other chemicals that were put into my body, I had never felt so weak. The things I did every day seemed like the hardest struggle. I could barely walk up the stairs at school or even at my house without feeling so winded and almost passing out. I tried to keep wrestling, but didn't have the energy or strength to even warm up. My taste buds were shot, making me have no appetite. As a result, my sense of smell was doubled. This made the smells very unappealing, and I was constantly nauseous. Towards the end of the first round, I started losing my hair. I was supporting my team at a tournament one weekend, and I pulled up my hair to fix it, and a huge chunk just fell out. What most girls have nightmares about was my reality. I was going to be bald very soon. My second round of chemo was by far the worst. It was the only time I threw up. The smell of the hospital was overwhelming, and my stomach couldn't handle it. It just got worse from there. As many of you know, when a person goes through chemotherapy, their immune system becomes very weak and can get sick. The reason why most people end up losing their lives is because their body cannot fight the infections inside of them. I had caught the flu and it was turning into pneumonia. I lied in the hospital bed, freezing and shaking uncontrollably. My entire skin felt as if it was being pierced by millions of needles. I couldn't keep warm, my head was pounding, and my eyes were super sensitive to light. The doctor said to get me more blankets and heating pads to raise my body temperature. My bones hurt so bad it felt like they were all broken. My muscles were sore as if I just had the hardest workout of my life. I couldn't help but think that that could possibly be my last day here with my family. How was I supposed to pull through when I couldn't even raise my head to look at my parents and tell them that I was going to be okay? During the third round of chemo, my body had finally adjusted to all the chemicals being pumped into my system every week. I realized I had lost 10 pounds and I was very pale. One of my friends even said I looked like death, which was not reassuring at all. I was so weak that I couldn't even hang out with my friends. I'm just happy that I made it out of chemotherapy alive, and I thought that the rest of the path to recovery was going to be easy. Once again, my mind was changed when I started radiation. The effects of radiation were 10 times as bad as I thought they would, and 10 times as bad as chemotherapy ever was. The doctor warned me about the effects, but I never thought it would be as bad as he said. Since the radiation was directed right at my neck and throat was hurt the most. My mouth became dry and dehydrated. I'd like to compare it to strep throat and then multiply it by 20. My throat felt closed up and there wasn't enough air that traveled down my throat so I could breathe. Every time I coughed, sneezed, swallowed, laughed, drank, or ate something, my throat would reject it and I would throw up. I was more nauseous than I was during chemo, and all I wanted to do was sleep. I was scared to eat because I was scared to throw up. My back ached immensely from all the dry heaving, and I didn't want to move at all. The weight I had gained back during the break from chemo was gone. I lost a scary 20 pounds in 2 weeks, and I still had another round of radiation to go. I looked even frailer than I did before, and I could hardly get myself up in the morning for treatment. I didn't want to go on. I wanted to quit right then and there. I didn't want to be treated. I thought ending everything would end my suffering, but I didn't stop. I pulled through and finished my last round. On June 9th, 2011, I did it. I finished this journey and everything it had in store for me. Through the hair loss, weight loss, I made it. I still don't have full taste, and my strength has not and may never recover to what it was. I might have lost a few battles, but in the end I won the war. Unlike me, many have lost the war, and even more are still fighting the battle. But thanks to organizations like Leukemia Research Foundation, the battle has become that much easier. Thank you for helping making Charity Drive 2012 a success to continue to support those who are still fighting.